All right, so ever think about what it takes to be a level crossing signal person? You know those flashing lights and those gates that stop traffic for trains?
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's got to be in charge of that whole system, and I bet it's a lot more complex than it seems.
It really is. It's one of those jobs most people probably don't even realize exists,
Right.
but it's absolutely vital for safety at those crossings,
Huh.
where the trains and cars intersect. You need a certain type of person for that role,
Yeah.
someone with technical skills, but who's also aware and can think fast when it's crunch time.
And that's exactly what caught my eye when I was looking at this RoleCatcher research. It goes into all the nitty-gritty, the job itself, the skills, even how to get hired. It's super interesting.
I know. It's fascinating how they present both the pros and cons. Like, you've got a job that's always going to be in demand, so the pay is good, but it's not all sunshine and roses.
Mhm.
It can mean working some crazy hours, dealing with bad weather, and facing situations that are pretty stressful.
Totally. It's not like you can just clock out when a train is coming and there's a line of cars. So I'm curious, what does a level crossing signal person actually do all day long? I mean, besides the obvious, like stop the cars, let the train through, what else does the job
Well,
involve?
so much more, honestly. Think about it. You're outside, no matter what the weather's like, dealing with people and working with technology all at the same time.
Okay, that's interesting. What kind of technology are we talking about here? Like, are we talking super high-tech gadgets and digital screens? Or is it more of a hands-on, old-school kind of thing? I figure it's got to be a mix, right? Like, you need to know the old way of doing things in case the new stuff acts up.
You're totally right. We're talking about modern signaling systems, communication tools to stay connected with dispatchers, even sensors that can tell if there's a problem at the crossing. But it's not enough to just, know how to use the tech. These folks need to understand how it all works together to keep everything running smoothly.
So it's almost like you're conducting an orchestra, but the stakes are way higher. That's a lot of responsibility, which I guess could feel pretty rewarding, but also super intense.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat the challenges either. Like, they're upfront about the long hours, working no matter what the weather's doing, and just always knowing there's a certain level of risk involved. But for some people, those challenges can be a big motivator.
Yeah, I get that.
Knowing that you're the one keeping people safe, that's huge.
It's more than just a job at that point. You're making a real difference. So let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, hey, that sounds like me. I can handle the pressure. What does the career path look like? Can you start at the bottom and work your way up?
Well, that's what makes this even more interesting. RoleCatcher actually outlines the different stages of a level crossing single person career, and they even have these examples of people who climb the ladder. So you might start as an assistant, learning the ropes from the veterans, and then eventually you're the one leading a team.
So there's definitely room to grow and take on more responsibility.
Okay, so what about the skills you need to succeed? What makes someone really good at this?
Obviously, knowing all the safety rules and procedures is a given. But RoleCatcher highlights some other things you might not think of right away. Communication, for example, is super important.
Right, because it's got to be a lot more than just casual conversation. What kind of communication are we talking about?
Okay, picture this. You've got a truck, and it stalls out right on the tracks as the train's coming. So you have to give really clear and calm directions to the driver while also telling the dispatcher what's going on, all while staying cool under pressure.
Wow, you've really got to think on your feet. I can see how experience in a high-pressure job would be a huge plus. So someone's probably wondering, like, okay, that sounds amazing, but do I need to have experience to even get started? That's the big question a lot of people have. And the cool thing is that RoleCatcher actually addresses that. It's not always a requirement.
Yeah.
Some places might want some experience, but it's not always a deal breaker.
Okay.
A high school diploma is usually the minimum. And you'll find that a lot of employers will train you on the job, because
Yeah.
they want you to learn their specific way of doing things, how to handle different situations.
Right. It makes sense. It's very specialized. Now, you were really interested in how RoleCatcher helps with the interview process. They have a whole section on that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's a whole thing about how to nail that interview with tons of questions that are geared towards people who want to be level crossing signal persons.
Yeah.
They even have this AI thing where you can practice your answers so you go into the interview feeling really confident.
Oh, wow. That's got to be a game changer, especially if you're the type of person who gets nervous in interviews. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
Exactly. Exactly. You can practice those tough questions like what to do when things get stressful so you've got a really good answer. It's all about preparation.
We've covered a lot, from what makes this job rewarding to the challenges, the tech, the skills, all of it.
Mm.
But it all boils down to safety, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, as a level crossing signal person, you're not just directing traffic, you're responsible for people's safety.
Exactly. And what I think is important for people to really grasp is, what's actually happening behind the scenes at those crossings. Like, RoleCatcher really gave me a new appreciation for how much skill and focus it takes to keep those trains running on time and everyone safe.
Yeah. It's easy to forget about all of that when you're sitting there waiting for a train. Like, we might be impatient, but we don't always think about the person who's making sure the crossing is clear and that everyone's going to get where they need to go safely.
It's so true.
Um,
This wasn't just about a job description. It was about understanding how important these people are, these unsung heroes that we often don't even notice.
Absolutely.
So next time you're at a crossing, waiting for the train, maybe take a second to think about the level crossing signal person who's making it all happen.
Totally. A little appreciation goes a long way. And who knows, maybe this deep dive has inspired someone listening to try something new. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.